Okay, good.
Welcome everyone to this virtual community meeting to discuss NPA 2022-0010.03. If you haven't done so already, please let us know who is here in the chat. If you could type your name and organization if you're associated with one. This will be used as the meeting sign-in sheet. Please mute your microphone if you're joining by phone. Turn off your video if you're participating online to save bandwidth. This meeting is being recorded and will be publicly posted to the speakupaustin.org/NPA website. If you do not want your image viewed publicly, please turn off your camera. This property is in the Holly neighborhood planning area. My name is Maureen Meredith. I'm the Plan Amendment Case Manager. Jesse Gutierrez is my coworker. He is going to be facilitating the meeting tonight. We work for the Housing and Planning Department Inclusive Planning Division. The agenda, I'll go over basic case information, guidelines for group discussion, how to participate in this process, why is there a plan amendment application, what is a future land use map. I'll do a presentation on the applicant's plan amendment request. The applicant will do a presentation and then we will open the floor to questions and answers. Here are the property addresses: 2309 East 2nd, 2320 East 2nd, East Cesar Chavez, 2315 East 2nd Street, 2403 East 2nd Street, 2405 East 2nd Street, 2409 East 2nd Street, and 2411 East 2nd Street. It's 1.106 acres. The plan amendment case number is NPA 2022-0010.03. The project name is Holly Mixed Use. The request is to change the future land use map from single family and civic to mixed use. No zoning case has been filed at this time. Property owners applicants are 2324 ECC-ARC LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, and 2400 ECC ARC LLC Delaware Limited Liability. Agent is Ferris Clemens from Armbruster and Brown. Guidelines for group discussion. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat at any time during this meeting. If you could please postpone general comments until after the Q&A session. After staff and applicant presentations, if you would like to speak, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand symbol on the menu bar. Telephone participants will be able to speak during the Q&A session of the meeting. Attendees will be muted upon arrival and through the staff and applicant presentations. Then staff will open the floor to answer questions in the chat or by attendees raising their hands to speak. Similar questions may be grouped and answered together. Please mute your microphone when you're not speaking for the sake of sound quality and clarity of conversation. If you're having connection issues, turn off your video until called upon to ask your questions. We ask that you be respectful to each other during this discussion, and if there are personal assaults, it may result in removal from the meeting. How to participate in this process. As mentioned earlier, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the speakupaustin.org/NPA website. It will be posted before noon tomorrow morning. You can email or call me with any questions or comments that you have. Any written comments that you submit will be added to the staff case reports. You will get a notice in the mail of the date and time of the Planning Commission and City Council hearings if you live within 500 feet of the property. The notice will have instructions on how to participate in these meetings. The case is scheduled for the November 8th Planning Commission hearing and the December 1st City Council hearing. The notices will be going out this week. Why is there a plan amendment? Neighborhood plans are adopted by City Council as amendments to the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. The city charter requires zoning changes to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Most plan amendments are changes to a plan's future land use map, and most have an associated zoning application, but this plan amendment application does not in this case. This map shows the areas in blue that have City Council approved neighborhood plans. All the plans have a plan document that have the vision and goals for the planning area, and most of which also have a future land use map. The future land use map has colors on it that represent broad land uses. For example, red that you see on a future land use map represents commercial. Yellow represents single family. In this case, yellow and blue are existing, and the blue is a civic land use, and the proposed land use is mixed use, and that was represented in brown. These are the properties, and you can see the yellow as a single family land use, and the blue is a civic, and the proposed is brown, which is the color you see just south of the properties. Aerial photo again that shows the properties. A screenshot of Google Map that shows some of the surrounding uses. Color flum again that shows the single family land use, the civic, and the surrounding land uses. To the north, that orange is multifamily. To the east, the yellow is single family, south, mixed use, and again, to the west, there's some single family and mixed use. Zoning map, current zoning on the yellow colored properties is SF3. The pink is LO. I believe it has a conditional overlay also. And to the south, CS is general commercial service, conditional overlay, mixed use neighborhood plan. The Imagine Austin Growth Concept Map has indicates where the city proposes regional centers, town centers, neighborhood centers, and where there are activity corridors. The map here shows the property in relation to the Plaza Saltil Neighborhood Center that is to the north of the property. And East 2nd Street or East Cesar Chavez, there is a activity corridor signified by the two brown lines. This map shows the property in proximity to public transportation. And then we will stop sharing my screen. And Michael, are you going to be doing the presentation?
I am.
Okay.
Is a screen share function available?
Yes, you can share. Yes.
Cool. Thank you. Do that right now. There you go. Let me know when you can see it.
We can see it.
Super. Well, first of all, thanks to everybody. I'm not sure. Let me see who's on. I see an M meeting guest. I just don't know who that is. But I appreciate folks that are here, and I know that this is being recorded, so I'll proceed. My name is Michael Whalen, as Maureen Meredith just indicated. I'm here to present on the future land use amendment for Holly Commons on behalf of the applicant and the participating neighbors. We also have a number of other folks from our team this evening, and their information has been posted on the message board in terms of their connection with the applicant. Let me change screens here. My apologies. There we go. So I'd first like to take a moment to describe the application we're here to discuss this evening. As Maureen explained in her presentation, the city generally processes two different kinds of land use applications. The first one is an amendment to the future land use map, and that's the one we're here today to discuss. The future land use map, as the name suggests, sets expectations for the direction that a property will go in the future, but it does not change a property's actual entitlements or the development standards that define what can be done on that property. Changes to entitlements are handled through a totally separate process known as rezoning. Rezoning is a step when things like uses, floor to area ratio, and other standards can be changed. So a flume change sets expectations for what type of use would be appropriate in the future, but it does not actually change any development standards. And then rezoning later on is a separate process in which an applicant can request changes to development standards. We are here again solely to discuss a flume change, which will set what the expectations might be for the future. As was already indicated, this request is a little unique in that it involves property owned by the main applicant, which is ARC Capital, as well as by members of the community who live nearby. On this map in front of you, you can see the block under discussion. For reference, this block is bounded by East Cesar Chavez to the south, Mildred Street to the west, and East 2nd Street to the north, and Pedernales to the east. And I think, Maureen, you already went over this, but I wanted to point out that ARC owns tracks 1, 2, and 3 that are identified, which are on the left-hand side. And then a number of the neighbors own tracks 4, 5, 6, and 7, which you can see on the right-hand side. The purple track, which is 2317 East 2nd Street, is also owned by ARC, and it already has a plan amendment case that was filed, and we're trying to sync that up with these other properties that are part of this case, the 1 through 7 properties. So although it was filed separately, it was filed in July 2021, the hope here is that it is synced up with the other ones ultimately. The case under consideration would change the future land use map for all of the tracks to mixed use. ARC, the owner of tracks 1, 2, and 3, initially reached out to their neighbors on this block, I think earlier this year, and to let those neighbors know that ARC planned to request a future land use map change. After consideration, a number of those neighbors then got back in touch with ARC and let us know that they were interested in being included in the flume change as well. So we're bringing these requests forward as one consolidated case. The case will revise a future land use map for the area by redesignating these properties as mixed use. You can see that by the legend at the bottom, that's the light brown color. Much of the block is already designated mixed use. You can see across the East Cesar Chavez frontage and on East 2nd Street in the middle of the block. For context, mixed use refers to properties that can provide a mix of different uses. Oftentimes, this means providing some commercial uses along the ground floor with residential above. The remaining parts of the block are designated for single family, which is in yellow, and one lot is designated for civic in light blue. And I'm not sure why that happened or how that happened, but we're obviously looking to change that to be consistent with the mixed use designation. The city originally adopted these flume designations as part of the Holly neighborhood plan over 2 decades ago in December of 2001. Since then, the city's needs have grown and evolved, which has made flume amendments necessary to keep the neighborhood plan up to date. In this case, East Cesar Chavez has become more of a neighborhood corridor with commercial amenities like those at Holly Commons. This case requests extending mixed use to the tracks you saw earlier, which is consistent with the existing mixed use designations on this block already, and is consistent with the way that Cesar Chavez corridor is growing. While ARC does not yet have an accompanying rezoning case for their property, the 1 through 7 item, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, the tracks 1, 2, 3. Let me go back and these tracks 1, 2, 3. Sorry. They are considering future options, including a potential future expansion of the Holly Commons project, which they own. Tract 8 in purple does have a rezoning case that we have asked to postpone while we finalize the rezoning application for the other tracks so that, again, we can bring them as a consolidated case. As I mentioned before, any rezoning associated with this would have to come through as its own request. It'd be a separate application and thus would come back to the community and through notice and through public meetings. The other neighbors included in this flume request have also recognized the growth along East Cesar Chavez corridor, and though they do not have plans to move or sell their property, they believe it is good planning to think ahead and designate their properties for mixed use for the future. That covers the requests currently pending before the city, a flume change to mixed use for all the properties you saw earlier. This only changes the use designation for the future, which is done to set expectations for future growth. Any actual changes would need to be handled through a separate rezoning case, which would also come back and go through a full city review process and vote by the city council. And with that, Maureen, Meredith, I'm open to questions if there are any.
Jesse, do you want to facilitate?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so now's the time. If anyone on the call, on the Teams meeting, who's not with the applicant or not part of the project wants to ask a question, feel free. You can also type the question in the chat if you feel so, and I'll read that question out. You can also feel free to raise your hand digitally if you like. But yeah, the floor is open. Is anyone on the call not with the applicant? Maybe we should ask that.
Okay. Well, you think we should just wait a couple extra minutes and then just
Yeah,
end
we
the
should,
meeting?
Maureen. Can you double check the notice and make sure it says 6:30? It says 6, not 6:30. I forgot, just to make sure maybe people were waiting.
Sure, I can check. Six to 7:30. That's what the notice says.
I'm going to double check Speak Up Austin too.
Yeah, I'm on Speak Up as we, let's see. Yeah, it says 6 to 7:30. Speak Up says the same thing. So I guess it's up to you, Michael, if you want to, wait until 6:30 or just go ahead and end it early. Your call.
Give me 1 second. I've asked Zach a question offline. 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should just wait 6 more minutes. It
I think-
turns out, if that's
ahead.
okay.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and ask some questions, just typical questions that people ask at these meetings, if you don't mind.
Should we wait till 6:30, make sure nobody else is here, and then ask?
Well, I can ask them while people aren't asking, so we just don't have dead air.
Okay. Well, I don't mind dead air.
Okay. So, you say you're proposing mixed use. Do you have an idea of if it's really going to be mixed use, like retail, office, residential, or any idea you can share?
We don't have a specific plan. It's just that we're acknowledging that that is the direction the community is going, and the project that already exists, the Holly Commons, adjacent to it, uh, creates an opportunity for this concept of ground floor commercial with residential above, since there's now, restaurant and brewery uh, adjacent.
Okay. Hi, Steve. We're here during the Q&A. I was just asking questions since no one else had asked questions. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah,
Okay.
Steve, I think there was I noted that I just realized that I had an email that indicated 6:30 to the other owners, and the notice said 6, and I did not realize that until just a minute ago. Zach pointed that out to me, and I'm happy to flip. I'm happy to flip through the presentation that I sent y'all. I just totally got confused on the timing.
I think we're good with the presentation. I thought I was just logging in a few minutes early, but then I saw the Speak Up website said the case was at 6. I guess I had missed it on the paper as well.
No, it was me because of that subject line.
No worries.
So, Maureen, I only sent it to the other applicants, but it was also included in my email about the meeting. Not just the applicants that are seeking the mixed use anyway, but also Albert's last name, Steve Albert's last name.
Albert Soto, 2401.
Yeah, and also that was the only other person. Everybody else, I think, is an applicant.
Okay. So it sounds as if at 6:30, maybe if we get more people, we should just start over.
If we get more people, I don't know that Steve and Danielle, unless you would like us to repeat everything, I could do that, but that's your call.
I think unless somebody else comes on, there's no need.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, if we get more people, that looks as if they're not part of. I mean, they could just be people within 500 feet, who weren't part of your not part of your contacts. If word got out, it was 6:30. Anyway, okay, so Michael, can I continue my questions in case it comes up at my plan amendment review meeting?
Yes, of course. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So, do you have any idea what proposed zoning y'all might be requesting? If it might be the vertical mixed use included, or any ideas?
Yeah, the other case that is not part of this sequence, and Steve, that's that purple one, 2317, which was a separate case filed in July 2021. That did have a V, and I think in all likelihood, we would be seeking VMU or seeking a V to truly provide that mixed use and, frankly, the affordable housing component, which I think has value at this time, at all times.
And so I guess the next question is, the V, has certain affordable housing requirements. Do you propose anything beyond what the VMU requires, or do you just plan to meet the VMU requirements?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't even thought that far yet. I mean, we're still with all the applicants, frankly, after getting through this mixed use process, need to sit down and talk about that. That's why we've had some good conversations with Danielle and Steve, and expect to continue that.
Okay. Jesse, do you have any questions for them?
Yeah, I have a question. I guess what's the advantage of just going with the future land use change now ahead of time versus waiting till you do have more of a concept design or idea? Is it just kind of trying to push the kind of the block in that direction and kind of, I mean, obviously the sites are kind of split off. Um, so yeah, just like what's the advantage of going with just the future land use meetup now?
Then on where we're coming from, since I think we're part of what isn't necessarily a project on that.
What's that?
I was just asking Michael if it's all right if I jump in on that because
Yeah,
Me and-
go ahead. Can I just quickly respond directly, and then I'll let you jump in, of course. I would say, Jesse, it's called a future land use map for a reason, which is to give direction and guidance to folks as they begin to plan on what might be an appropriate use long term. And we've talked about this, and I bet you Stephen and Danielle will respond as well. It does not, and I have to emphasize this, that's why I emphasized it so many times in the presentation, it does not change the underlying zoning that exists now, the SF, the single family that exists now, nor does it change the site development regs associated with, or compatibility issue that is associated with the existing zoning that exists right now. So it just gives people an idea of what might be appropriate in the future as things evolve. Stephen?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I think the simple answer for us as homeowners here is planning and doing it as opposed to zoning, which is like all that the systems in this city seem to work around. There's only a limited opportunity to put in a plan amendment. We found out about this really late. Michael was great scrambling with us right before the July deadline so that we could tag along on this. A couple of years ago, we all know the neighbors here that there's no future for this block as 6 single family homes. We're right across the street from the Santa Rita Courts, which will be the next project after Rosewood from HACA. That's currently MF5, which under Affordability Unlocked has no compatibility and 90 feet of height. So that could easily, we would be like a little canyon in between Cesar Chavez and that. And so we'd like to have the flexibility to pull the trigger on a zoning change when the opportunity or exigent circumstances arose, and the existence of the FLUM really is an impediment to that. So we're just trying to do the planning on it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the call that maybe just joined after 6:30 that might have questions, comments? Nope, pretty quiet.
Michael, how much longer would you like to wait?
Steven, Danielle, what do you think? I sent an email to everybody telling me I messed up, but it's just applicant. It's everybody that I sent. The only people that know that the only people that I sent the 6:30 time to were those who were applicants, with the exception of Albert. So I'll wait. What do you think, Steven? I'm happy to wait a few more minutes.
I think you're probably fine. Albert, I saw Albert today. Savi, Savi Zoo. He made no mention of it. He was probably planning on sitting it out.
Okay.
Then
So
I think, go ahead, Maureen.
No, go ahead. I'll put up my slides so people can have my contact information while you talk here.
No, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. So here's my contact information. If people want to contact me, this is also included on the community meeting notice that you got in the mail. So like I said, this case is scheduled for the November 8th Planning Commission hearing. Our case reports are due November 1st. So if anyone wants to submit to me any comments that you want to be included in my staff case report, please email it to me no later than November 1st by 4:30 p.m. And case is scheduled for December 1st City Council. Anybody have any questions before we close out the meeting?
Yeah, I do. Maureen, is the 2317 Second Street case, which is the lot, the purple lot next to Albert's, is that one going to also be taken up on those 2 dates as well?
So that we have it called 2400, East Cesar Chavez parking expansion. I think that's the case. So that's NPA 2021-0010.01. That case was postponed from the September 27th Planning Commission hearing date to November 15th. So no, it's not going to be on the November 8th Planning Commission. It's going to be on November 15th. And the November
15th is a consent only agenda, isn't it?
Correct.
And then will it be synced up for the December 1st meeting then?
I have not sent out the notice. If we typically don't send out the notice for City Council until after Planning Commission action. So I'll have to look at that because the December 1st notice is due November 8th. I'll have to work with you after this meeting on that.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Nope, not for me.
Okay. So I guess we can stop recording.